Hey guys, it's Danny, and for today's 101 ingredient, we are covering quinoa. Now, let's start off by saying, oftentimes when people are new to quinoa, they have a tendency to call it quinoa. I totally get it, I've been there myself. As a matter of fact, the spelling would lead you to believe that that might be the way to say it. But I am here to reassure you that the correct pronunciation is quinoa. And if you don't believe me, you can read it right here on the package. Right there, quinoa. All right, now that we've got that clear, let's jump in. Technically speaking, quinoa is a seed, but to make it easier for all the dietitians and nutritionists and health coaches of the world, we just group it with the grains. But keep in mind that it's not a grain, because if you have a hard time digesting grains, this would be a great ingredient to experiment with, because it gives you the same type of experience and texture that you get from a grain, but it's a seed. Quinoa brings a lot to the table. Number one, it's high in protein. As a matter of fact, it's the only grain that's a complete protein. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, this is a great option. Number two, it's low on the glycemic index. What that means is that it's very gentle on the system. It enters the bloodstream at a nice, steady rate. And what that does, it helps us keep full for a longer period of time. Number three, it's both wheat and gluten-free. So if you have sensitivities to wheat and gluten, this would be a great choice. And number four, it's packed with vitamins and minerals. It's high in iron, potassium, magnesium, all that, and it's high in fiber. So you guys can see that there's a lot of reasons to think about incorporating quinoa into your diet. Quinoa has a nice, light, fluffy texture, and the flavor is slightly nutty. Now, it comes in a bunch of different varieties, but for the most part, what you're gonna see is either red quinoa or ivory quinoa. If you have bulk bins at your grocery store, that's great. Buy it there, you usually save yourself a little bit of money. Otherwise, go to the aisle with all of the whole grains, and you will be able to find it in a box very similar to this one. This is a brand I usually buy. I really like it. It's called Ancient Harvest, and it comes in both the red and the ivory varieties. Once you get your quinoa home, if you bought it in a box like this, no big deal. You're just gonna store it in a cool, dry place, easy peasy. But if you bought it in the bulk bins, you wanna make sure you store it in an airtight container. Something like this, a mason jar with a lid, would be perfect. Now, because quinoa does have essential fatty acids in it, during those really hot summer months, if you bought a lot or you don't use it often, then you might want to think about storing it in the fridge or the freezer, because those acids can turn and go rancid on you if they get too hot. When it comes to preparation, quinoa is very easy. First thing you want to do, get your quinoa into a fine mesh strainer just like this. Give it a rinse under some cold water. Quinoa has this residue over the top of it, and if you don't rinse it off, it'll taste very bitter. Now, there are some brands like the Ancient Harvest that come pre-washed, and if that's the case, you can skip this step. But if you're buying your quinoa in bulk bins or the box does not say pre-washed, you gotta do this. Now, when it comes to cooking the quinoa, all you have to remember is 2 parts water to 1 part quinoa. And the beauty of quinoa is it cooks faster than any other grain. So 1 cup of quinoa into your pot. 1 cup of dried quinoa is gonna get you about 3 cups cooked. 2 cups of water. Turn the heat to high. Let everything come up to a boil. Then we're gonna reduce the heat down to low so that everything is simmering. Pop on a lid and let this cook for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, you're gonna know that your quinoa is done because 1, the quinoa is gonna look translucent, and number 2, the little white germ on the quinoa is gonna pop and wrap around each seed. Just like this. Now from here, you can enjoy your quinoa as a side dish, plain Jane, or you could do what I like to do, which is make a bunch, store in an airtight container, and pop it in the fridge, and then during the week, you can put some on top of a salad, put it into your soup, sprinkle some into a wrap, or mix it with some lentils and beans for a really quick weeknight meal. Another thing you can do, enjoy it for breakfast. One of the little recipes that I love is to take some Greek yogurt or some cottage cheese, stir in about 1/4 cup of quinoa, some fresh chopped apple, and some cinnamon, and you've got yourself a protein-packed, delicious, nutritious breakfast that keeps you full for hours. Creamy, hearty, crunchy, delicious. So now that you guys know what to do with quinoa, get in your kitchens and do something, and meet me down in the comments below and let me hear all about it. If you guys want some printable recipes, be sure you stop by cleananddelicious.com. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Danny Spies. I'll see you next time with some more clean and deliciousness. Quinoa is a seed that is related from the top. Now, technically speaking, quinoa is a seed that comes from a plant that's related to Swiss chard and something else that I'm losing right now.